Hello everyone and welcome to another LSJ review, this time for Spenser Confidential. So Spenser Confidential is a movie directed by Peter Berg and it stars Mark Wahlberg, Winston Duke and Alan Arkin. The general gist of this movie is Mark Wahlberg is a cop. He beats the shit out of another cop, because that cop beats his wife, but he gets arrested, and Spenser, played by Mark Wahlberg, gets arrested, sent to jail. 5 or so years later, he's out of jail and decides to investigate the murder of 2 cops. One of them being the one he beat the shit out of like 5 years previous. So there's going to be very mild spoilers for this review, just to let you know. And an admission: I don't like Mark Wahlberg's acting. No, I've seen a couple interviews of his, and he seems like a nice guy. That's fine. I don't have to hate the man. I don't. I just don't like his acting. I think he's uncharismatic and wooden as fuck. But there's a caveat to this movie. There's something that happens in this movie quite a bit that I enjoyed, and that's Mark Wahlberg gets his ass kicked a lot. So, if you're a Mark Wahlberg fan, I think you'll like this. It's a standard Mark Wahlberg good time, if you can call it that. If you're like me and you're not a big fan of Mark Wahlberg's, you get to see his ass kicked many times, and it's awesome. The rest of the story, though, is kind of standard stuff. Immediately at the start, where he meets his old partner from when he was still a cop, I said straight away, and here's the spoiler, pretty much the only one I'm going to mention. I said that cop will be the bad guy, and I was right. Yeah, so it's filled with standard things like that. Now, the character of Spenser was created by an author named Robert B. Parker. He wrote quite a few Spenser novels. However, this one isn't an adaptation of one of the Spenser novels by the original creator. It's by another guy. And I'm just thinking, like, you've got so many of the authors, the original authors' works to use, and you pick someone else. That was weird to me. If you're thinking this movie will be like the next Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the next, like, punchy, buddy, detective kind of story, it's not going to be like that. The 2 hours kind of fly by. It could have been shorter. But there's nothing in it that's super memorable about it. There's nothing in there that will make you think, oh, wow, I hope they continue making these movies. It's just pretty much standard stuff. You can pretty much guess what's going to happen. And, I watched this movie last week. I actually watched it before Powerbomb. And the reason I haven't done a review of this movie yet is just because of how middle of the road I found it. I think something that would have elevated this movie, and yeah, I'm going to beat a dead horse, would be to say the leading man. This would have been better with anyone else. I don't like Mark Wahlberg. I have not liked him since the 1-2 punch that was his Planet of the Apes movie and Max Payne. He's awful. And he keeps getting a lot of work in the kind of things that I might be interested in watching. So he can be hard to avoid sometimes. I will say I really liked Winston Duke. I remember him from Person of Interest a few years ago. He was great in that. I'm glad to see him turn up in something else. I'm pretty sure he was in Black Panther as well. I can't remember the role he played there. But he jumps out at me from Person of Interest for sure. And Alan Arkin. For some reason, the first Alan Arkin movie that pops into my mind is always The Jerky Boys. But he's had a long, fantastic career. He's always a really good actor. So he's propped up by good actors, but they've got to be interesting too, and they're not always. It's just, it's an okay, middle of the road movie that you might like more if you're a Mark Wahlberg person. I'm not a Mark Wahlberg person at all, so I'll get a 5 out of 10. Struggle to find anything interesting to say about this movie, good or bad. It's just, I'd take a shit movie over this any day. I think that's true. The worst movies aren't the shit ones. They're the boring, middle of the road, average ones. Which is what Spenser Confidential is. Do I recommend watching it? It's quarantine time, so if you all probably have 2 hours to kill, why not go to the couch, park your butt down, and watch this for a couple hours? But you can do better, and Netflix has better. This is not better. Holy crap! That's 2 Netflix movies now that I've reviewed, and I didn't like either of them that much. Need to come out with a win, Netflix movies. I think they do have a win. The Coen Brothers movie that came out last year was probably one of the best movies Netflix has. Anyway, I'm rambling now. I'm out of here. An old movie's coming up next. A kind of 60s spy thriller, which will be coming later on in the week. Thank you very much for watching. Give me a like, dislike, share, subscribe, all of that junky junk. Follow me on the tweet. I'll see you next time. Thank you.